This is the Almost Timely newsletter for June 26th, 2022. This week's newsletter is going to be intensely political, very USA-centric, and leaning on the liberal side. There's no marketing content, no business content, no tips for SEO or anything like that. So please feel free to skip it. If that's not your thing, or even unsubscribe, it's totally okay. Again, no marketing content in here, but lots of liberal political content. That's very America-centric, with apologies to you if you're not focused on the USA. So this is your last chance to close things out and just come back next week. Okay. Let's talk about habits and change. When was the last time you went to the gym once, got fit, and didn't need to work out ever again? Right? When was the last time you changed what you ate for a day, you lost 20 kilograms, right, or 40 pounds, and you never had to do that again? Yeah, me neither. That doesn't happen. That never happens. Big, sustainable changes don't come from one-time events. They come from applied diligence, from making a little bit of progress all the time, bit by bit, day by day, step by step. Back at the height of the pandemic, I took up running. Right? It was one of my pandemic hobbies. In the beginning, let's be honest, I sucked at it. Like really sucked at it. I could barely run a kilometer, much less a mile. For those folks who are not metric inclined, 1 kilometer is about 2/3 of a mile. And I was literally sucking wind. But I kept at it. And 6 months after I started, I ran my first 5K road race virtually because of, pandemic. 6 months after that, I was able to run 5K a week. Right? Since the start of 2022, I've been running 5K or more every Sunday, 3 to 4K on Wednesdays. Last weekend, I managed 9K for the first time. I was really proud. As a guy who's in his mid-40s, who's never, ever been athletic in my adult life, it was a big deal. It was a big moment. I'm on my way to 10K. That's my goal for this year. And I'm healthier than I've ever been in my adult life. How did I make such a big change? With habits over time. Once I figured out how to run without injuring myself, which happened all the previous times in my life I tried to take up running, I started running as a habit, rain or shine. I ran on Sundays in 2020 and half of 2021. Rain or shine, I've run on Sundays and Wednesdays for the last year. Almost no days off. I think I take like 4 days off in the last 2 years, mostly due to things like holidays. When friends ask me, how do I maintain such discipline? The answer is easy. It's habit. It's routine. It's so regular that I don't have to think about whether I should not run or not, right? I just run because it's what I do. It's part of who I am. It feels weird when I do have to miss a run, like something's gone very wrong with that day. Good habits lead to great change. So what does this have to do with politics? I'm glad I asked. How did the Neoconservatives in America manage to overturn a 50-year court ruling and make abortion illegal in about half the U.S. states? With good habits. They had a message that they repeated endlessly, true or not. They applied consistent discipline, consistent effort, consistent resources, consistent focus over a very long period of time to get local, then state, then federal officials elected until they had enough people in power to influence who was on the highest court in the land. And they placed their candidates in lifetime positions, right? And those habits have paid off. They've achieved a decades-long goal of federally derecognizing people's sovereignty over their own bodies. Women, well, anybody with a uterus, especially. In the opinion of the court, one of the justices, Justice Thomas, also made clear the court needs to re-examine and reverse similar decisions about same-sex marriage, same-sex relationships, and the availability of contraception. This is not made up. This is not rumor. This is actually on page 119 of the ruling. If you want to go read it, I'll put a link in the newsletter. I happen to disagree with this decision in almost every possible way. I am a big fan of liberty and freedom, which means self-determination and autonomy. So long as you're not hurting me, You should be allowed to do whatever you want with your body. It's literally your body. That asterisk, by the way, is why I'm also in favor of mandating things like masks and vaccines as a last resort, because what you do with your body or you don't do will hurt me and others. But short of that, your body, you get to do with it whatever you want. You want a baby in it? Cool. That's your business. You don't want a baby in it? Cool. That's your business, right? You, depending on your faith, you have to take that up with you and whatever you believe in, right? And your doctor. You want to cover your body in tattoos or pierce it with iron bolts or saw off parts of it. Hey, that's your business, right? I should have no say over what you do with your body so long as you're not hurting anybody else, right? That's not what the court decided this week. The court decided that millions of Americans don't have a right to decide what they do with their bodies, even when they're not hurting other people. So, for people like me, and maybe you, depending on your beliefs, but for people like me who vehemently oppose this decision, what do we do? I will tell you what we should not do. Make a lot of noise for a brief time and then forget about it and move on to the next piece of news, right? Just scroll on past. That is the equivalent of going to the gym once, working out real hard, and never going back, right? That doesn't create any change. Yeah, you made a little bit of noise, but that's it. Great change requires effort and resources over a long period of time. It requires good habits. So what we should be thinking about, and what I'm discussing with my friends, my colleagues, is our own habits for creating change. We have a clear goal to enact into law broad bodily autonomy, freedom, liberty, that the government should have no say over what we do with our bodies except when it causes harm to other people without their consent, starting with restoring the federal right to an abortion. That's the goal. So how do we get there? The blueprint that American neoconservatives use to achieve their agenda isn't unique to them. It's not special, it's not magic, it's eminently practical and can be used by anyone. Number one, work with like-minded individuals to get people with our point of view and our shared goals elected to local offices, then state offices, then federal offices, then to the highest courts in the land. So what habits do we need to make these changes happen? Well, there's 5 of them. Number one, finance. There are lots of organizations that work towards the changes we want. Don't donate once. Set up a recurring donation so that you're in the habit of providing resources. Given a choice between a $12 one-time donation and a $1 monthly donation that's recurring, almost every organization prefers the latter because it allows for budgeting and resource allocation. I worked at nonprofits for years, and nonprofits love recurring donations, even if they're smaller, because you know what's coming. You can plan for it. So, number one, make donating a habit. If you want to donate specifically to abortion support, abortionfunds.org is a good place to start. Even if you're outside the USA and you want to contribute, please do. For civil liberties in general in the USA, the ACLU at aclu.org is a good place to start as well. So that's number one, finance. Number two, elect. Vote in every single election that you're eligible to vote in, even if it's just for the local dog catcher. Just as in running, when there's no days off from your workout, if you want political change, there are no off-year elections to skip. Make voting a habit. Number three, communicate. In the USA, every major elected representative has some way to receive feedback. Don't give feedback once or when a hot button issue comes up. If you want representatives to know that something's a big deal, give feedback regularly and frequently. For example, ask your senator or representative to introduce federal legislation legalizing abortion, or introduce federal legislation expanding the number of justices on the Supreme Court. But put it on your calendar and do it every single weekday. 3 minutes to copy and paste. But keep up that habit. Make communicating with your officials a habit. Number four, advocate. These habits don't mean much if you're the only one doing them, right? Buddy up. Join groups. A person is small, but a movement is large. Join groups. Just like having a workout buddy makes it easier to hold each other accountable, right? Or a class at your local fitness center makes it even easier. Get everybody into the room and you're all working towards these goals together. You know, your CrossFit or Orange Theory or whatever. You know the type of groups that can get a lot more done. Ask your political workout buddies if they sent their daily messages to their elected reps or made their monthly donations to the cause. Make building and growing your personal network a habit. And fifth, investigate. The reality is the American political system, and many others, but the American one especially, runs, like everything else in the country, on money. So, spend time regularly seeing who funds politicians that made this happen, right? If you know who achieved things, you know who got votes for things and stuff, you know who nominated and voted for or against Supreme Court justices. Who is bankrolling those officials? Who is putting money in their pockets? What businesses? And then don't do business with those companies. And let them know why you're not doing business with them publicly. And spread the word in your buddy system, in your network, to do the same. Make research your fifth habit. Neoconservatives won a 50-year battle because they had better habits than liberals. That's the ugly truth. They're not smarter. They're not better educated. They're not wealthier. They're not more clever. They're focused. They were zealous about their habits. If we want to win back what they took, we have to be more focused and more dedicated to our habits than them over the same period of time or longer. Good habits lead to great changes, but only if you stick by them. I hope you'll join me. If it's appropriate and relevant to you, and if it's not, that's fine. But in establishing good habits to create great change, necessary change for the better. Again, no other content this week. Unsubscribe buttons right in the newsletter. If you prefer to just part ways, that's totally fine. But thank you for listening. Thank you for adopting good habits, the habits that are needed to make change. And I'll talk to you next week. Stay safe. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.